You see this big smile on my face? It's like I'm a little child in a candy store, but I think I'm even happier than that because at the end of the day, the candy gets over, but the amazing stuff I have is only just starting to begin. So I've got great amount of stuff. Now we have a special on the Sony PS5. We'll do multiple things with it. We'll of course review it for you. We'll tell you if it's worth the investment. Is it a future investment? Is it a current investment? Will you actually get great games to play right now? What's the difference between this and the Xbox is our next story. We'll come out and talk to all of you as to whether the new Xbox or the new PS5 is the gaming device of the future. Then I've got this, the Asus Zen Book 14 with a dual display. And you know, this could actually be a better implementation than that little thing that Apple has in the front, because the entire trackpad is this amazing screen, and you can use it in multiple ways. You can customize it in multiple ways. So like I said right in the beginning, see this smile, this is our kid in a candy store show.
Cyberpunk 2077, the game that broke a lot of records for all the wrong reasons, is back in the spotlight. This time, the developers have introduced official support for players to add custom mods to their saves. This has been done to help players get some more fun out of their Cyberpunk gaming sessions. However, the developer has also cautioned users against using third-party mods or custom saves as they could lead to a security risk. In a tweet, the developers mentioned a security vulnerability in external DLL files and urged users to refrain from using files from unknown sources.
So let's start with our top story. In fact, the first three stories are actually on the PS5. So if you're interested in the PS5, you've absolutely hit gold. If you're not interested, stick around because I'm telling you these are incredible stories that will actually tell you something about what you may get very interested in the future. So the PS5, our first story of course is a review of it. Now while I'll take you deep into our review, and we've done multiple ways to test it, including trying out compatibility of old games like PS4 games and how do they perform on this, we'll actually talk a lot about this. The ergonomics of it, I mean, while it's a very futuristic looking product, but is it actually built right? I mean, it is really big. So can it be placed everywhere? Are you going to struggle for space? If you actually put it like this, will it be coming till where your TV is? That's part one, even though it comes with a stand. Part two, and this is where I think is the start of the game changer part of it. This is absolutely ready for the future, right? I mean, in terms of, it's almost like a supercomputer that is camouflaged as a gaming console. But is it going to pay off right now? I mean, is there enough game? Is there enough software out there to actually take this to the limit? Or are we just right now first getting the hardware out and then the software will follow, which is usually a little bit of a strange thing to do, because there should be at least one or two games right in the beginning that makes you say, oh my god, I'm in heaven. Something else that we thought was very interesting was the fact that one of the most irritating things in these gaming consoles is load time. I mean, you have these massive games that take a lot of time to load. With the SSD built in, we realized that this was as quick as possible. And the last part is the controller. Most people saying, oh my god, the controller is amazing. But you're not going to spend 40,000-50,000 rupees on getting a better controller experience only. The entire 360 degree around it should be actually worth it. So let's take a look at our review of the brand new Sony PS5.
We're living in an era where the term gaming has become synonymous with the PlayStation. The clan, whose foundation stone was laid by the original PS1, has grown bigger and stronger over time while erecting some serious milestones on its way up. From the PS2 being the highest selling console of all time to PS4 providing early access to developers for creating video games, the PlayStation has set benchmarks. So when the PS5 was announced, it created a solid buzz within the community. So today on the show, we're doing a comprehensive review of undisputedly the most requested gadget of all time. At first glance, the PS5 looks out of place compared to the usual gadgets around us. With its bulging out corners, the huge size and this startling white color, subtle is not the word that comes to mind when you look at this console. Since the PS5 is a chunky monkey, it will be difficult to place it in a setup, especially if you don't have enough room. Perhaps the better use of this real estate is the new LED setup on the console, which definitely looks great. The latest PlayStation is offered in two variants, an all-digital and a disc drive. The one with us is carrying that Ultra HD Blu-ray optical drive, which in India makes more sense given the general lack of high-speed internet. Otherwise, both of these consoles carry the same high-speed USB Type-A port and USB Type-C port on the front, followed by two super-speed USB Type-A ports, an Ethernet port and an HDMI port on the back. Once up and running, the home screen greets us with a revised UI specifically designed for the PS5. This new menu outlay definitely looks more premium in its black overall theme compared to the one we've seen on the previous gen consoles. Not only does it look good, it is also more user-friendly. There's also a menu tray now where you will see the games that you've been playing, followed by generic controls like power, settings and network. There are also cards from different games which have a dedicated use. From the last checkpoint to tutorials, these cards will be programmed according to the developer. One of this generation's most important upgrades is the switch from traditional hard drives to solid-state storage hard drives. Cutting down on loading times dramatically and reducing the booting up speed to a flash, the SSD drive on the latest PlayStation is unparalleled, but there is a limitation to it. Out of the 825 gigs of storage, we get to use only 667 gigabytes. In gaming terms, that means that you'll be able to store just up to a dozen PS5 games before you have to get down to choosing your favorite titles. And now moving to the biggest addition on the PlayStation, the all-new DualSense controller. Transitioning from the traditional DualShock, this new controller is leaps ahead of what we've ever seen in gaming. When it was initially revealed, the gaming community complained that it is bigger than the DualShock 4, and indeed it is when compared with each other, but it is safe to say increasing the size has paid off. The adaptive triggers on the controller personifies the scene that you're in. Every step and every swipe, the response of the control helps the player differentiate between each scene. This time around, Sony provides a mute button to the controller itself, which we found to be really useful. There's also an inbuilt microphone and speaker on the controller, which means playing multiplayer titles won't require a headphone set. But if you are from Team Headphones, then don't worry, it retains the 3.5mm headphone jack. The battery life on the DualSense controller is not as great as the DualShock. We get about 3 hours of backup in a single charge, but as an overall package, that's absolutely fine. Now, we can't review a console without gaming on it. The game we chose on the PS5 was Astro's Playroom. The moment you tap X on the controller, PS5 amazes you, first with its speed and then with its performance. When it comes to computational power for gaming, the word lag is not in the dictionary for this console. We ran a session of over 3 hours on the PlayStation and we could feel everything next gen, from response time to controller feedback. Surprisingly, this is a very quiet machine, which is not something you expect while gaming in 4K. We can't forget that the PS5 is backward compatible, so we blew off the dust from the OG Spider-Man from PS4 and loaded it up to experience it in this next-gen console. So what was it like to play Peter's story on the latest console? One word: spectacular. In our game day with the PS5, representing the Gadget's 360 show was Dhruv Mohan. So let's hear it from him what he felt like gaming on the latest console.
So I had a great day today playing with the PlayStation 5. But first of all, I want to share what we got in the box. Here's a certificate that reads India Day 1 PS5 Consumer. Well, if you bought it from a scalper market, there's a chance that you wouldn't get it. But we did. Coming down to the point about video games. That is why we buy all of these consoles, right? Well, unfortunately, the PlayStation 5 is also suffering the same fate we saw with the Xbox Series X. What I'm trying to say here is that there's a lot of computational power when it comes to gaming in this particular console. But unfortunately, PS5 specific titles will not be showing up anytime soon. Most of the games coming out on the PS5 will be simultaneously coming out on the PS4. So is it worth the upgrade? I say yes, it is. Because PlayStation 5 is not just a console for now. It is an investment. It is a long-term investment for that matter.
To conclude, Sony PS5 is already turning out to be a long-term investment. While there is yet to be a library of games developed specifically for this console, it is assured that whatever you throw at it, it will make that better. At Rs 49,990, this is not an inexpensive machine, but it surely lives up to the title of Next Gen.
Now that we've told you what we think of the Sony PS5, and I truly believe this is an investment into the future, because right now you will be thrilled with it, but you're not going to be over the moon with it, because I think the software still has to catch up. But it's a good chicken and egg situation, so the chicken is here. The eggs need to follow. Now we'll do something else. The big question that we always get, and usually we save it up into story or show 2. We'll actually do that story today. The brand new Xbox versus the brand new Sony PS5.
Now that both the PS5 and Xbox Series X are available in India, it is safe to say that the console wars have officially begun. So we thought maybe we can try and figure out which one of these next-gen machines is better, and more importantly, why. Let's start by comparing the design of both of these consoles. While Sony went ahead with a rather flashy overlay for the latest PlayStation, Microsoft chose otherwise. Both of these consoles are not light by any means, but when you compare them against each other, the PS5 definitely takes up more real estate. Obviously, you need a dedicated space for either of these machines, but working around with the Xbox Series X is easier. Even before both of these consoles were launched, the hardware spec sheet showed a very bright future for the Xbox Series X. Microsoft's latest console is powered by an 8-core custom Zen 2 CPU bundled with an exclusive RDNA 2 GPU. Together, these two deliver 12.1 teraflops of computational power for gaming. On paper, that is 20% faster than the PS5, but that's just theory. The real picture is rather opposite. Ever since the PlayStation was launched, it has been running circles around the Xbox Series X in terms of both boot up time and loading speeds. With its 8-core Ryzen Zen CPU paired up with an RDNA 2 GPU, the PS5 delivers 10.3 teraflops of computational power, but the computation of this hardware combined with the ultra-fast SSD delivers break-free gaming experience. Speaking of controllers, Xbox has always been a step ahead of Sony, be it the original Xbox controller or the one we saw on the Xbox One S. The in-hand feel of the controllers shipped with Xbox has been better, and the DualShock always came a close second. But the tables have turned now with the PS5. Saying that the DualSense controller beats the one with Series X would be an understatement. The technology behind this 21st century joystick is never seen before. Not only does it feel great when you hold it, but it adds a solid punch to the gaming experience. The adaptive triggers technology personifies the environment for the scene that you are playing. On the other hand, Microsoft still expects the users to switch batteries in their controllers, which is appalling. And the moment you've all been waiting for, which one of these Gen Z consoles is better when it comes to gaming? To understand that, we need to know the current situation for both these consoles. Fresh off the boat, both the PS5 and Xbox Series X are yet to receive games that can test their actual gaming prowess, but with our testing, we can give you an unbiased answer. The PlayStation has an established franchise model that is more nourished and mature than the ones we get to see on Xbox. Games like Spider-Man, God of War, Uncharted and The Last of Us are all award-winning titles which belong to the PlayStation clan. On the other side, Xbox's only solid contender Halo has been falling behind its launch date. Yes, we can't ignore the fact that the backward compatibility on the Xbox Series X is unparalleled, since the console can run games dating back to the original Xbox. But PS5 backward compatibility is only extended to the PS4. That being said, this shouldn't really be a deal breaker. To conclude, as of today, the PlayStation 5 is clearly winning over the Xbox Series X by a heavy majority. But it is still early days and we're not pulling the plug on Xbox just yet. Sometimes improvements are just a software patch away.
So that's our verdict, but we don't always have to be absolutely right because we do need your input also into it. So we'll find out from you. 2 new gaming consoles that are absolutely bringing in the future of gaming. Is one better than the other? We went out to find out from you. Which is better, the new Xbox or the new PS5?
After that detailed comparison, we took to the streets to find out what are you, our viewers, thinking. We went out with good intentions and a very simple question. Which one do you like more, the PlayStation or the Xbox? And more importantly, why?
I prefer PlayStation because all my friends play it, so we play together. I don't like Xbox because the exclusive games on Xbox are not that good, and mostly because all my friends play PS4.
I would prefer PlayStation any day. The graphic quality of PlayStation is better and the gameplay experience of the whole PlayStation era is better. PlayStation has a different vibe for the story games, like the God of War, which is their exclusive. They offer a really different vibe.
My brother's got a PlayStation and I've seen how much he loves to play on the PlayStation, and I've noticed that they've got just more than games like web series and applications like Netflix and Amazon Prime, which I find very intriguing.
PS5! PS5! PS5!
Calm down, Team PS5. We have some players from the Xbox side as well.
I prefer Xbox. Xbox 360 or Connect, I really enjoyed playing that.
I've only played on Xbox and I prefer it more because that's my console I've been playing on.
And what are the games that you have been playing?
Fortnite and PUBG, and like I'll tell you to buy Xbox because it's so good to play on. I'll prefer the latest Xbox because like I've been playing on it and it's the console I've been playing on it. I'll even prefer you that.
In between all of this heat, there were some unusual demands.
Whatever I want to play in park, they don't let us play in park because you cannot use a ball or you cannot use a bicycle or a cycle or a cricket ball. You cannot play baseball in the park. So I want to play in the park. Give me my park back.
And with that, the console wars have begun. Which console will do more business? Well, we don't know that. But what we do know is, no matter what side you've chosen, you're in for a ride.
Let's take a quick break right now on the Gadget 360 show. When we come back, a whole lot more. Now, normally, a product like this would be our top story, but of course it still is. I would say we're doing 4 top stories today on the show. This is the Asus Zen Book 14. And I think the big deal in this really is all about this. See the screen here? And then can you see this right here? This is where I think is a game changer. Now, Asus has been pushing this dual display for quite a while. They've done various ways and various form factors that they've taken it forward. But I think now they're starting to get it absolutely right. This is a trackpad. It's also a second screen. It's also something that can be a shortcut screen. It's also something where you can actually have a lot of features built in as you're working on a particular app. And I think it is really evolving into the kind where a second screen was a gimmick, looked and felt good, to something that you can actually use and say, I don't know how I was actually able to survive without it. Here's a review of the Zen Book 14.
In a time when our laptop is our sole workstation, having the right hardware to support our grind is very important. These days, majority of laptop users have realized this and are looking for an upgrade, a rather serious one. So when Asus introduced their revised Zen Book 14, which happens to be a serious laptop with some serious upgrade, we were seriously interested. So does this revised Zen Book live up to its legacy? Let's find out. The latest laptop by Asus does carry forward the design language we saw last year. It's ultra light at just 1.13 kgs and the pine grey color looks gorgeous. On the connectivity front, Asus has kept up with its pedigree and provides us with 2 Thunderbolt 4 USB Type-C ports, a USB port in addition to an HDMI port. We also get to see endangered options like a 3.5mm headphone jack and a memory card reader. Now, the Zen Book 14 has always got good marks when it comes to its display, but this year, Asus decided to add a little zing to this panel. This 14-inch display is now touch capacitive with a refresh rate of 60 Hz, and yes, it's super responsive. Swipe, type or tap not once did the display give up on us. But that's just one part of it. Watching content on it is a different ballgame. With the resolution of 2160 by 1080 pixels, this is one of the most color accurate displays we have seen on an Asus laptop. But this display is not the only one on board. There is a secondary display on the Zen Book 14 integrated into the trackpad itself. Replacing the previous number pad, this touch capacitive panel can also switch its outlay since it can act like a usual trackpad as well. The variant with us is powered by Intel Core i7 processor with Turbo Boost. A processor with a good reputation for performance, this chipset was indeed a perfect fit for a machine of this size. We daily drove the Zen Book 14 for a week with our activities ranging from writing emails to making PPTs and creating Excels. throughout this period, the Zenbook 14 didn't give us a chance to complain. There were no lags or overheating and the performance was uniform. The bundled NVIDIA MX450 chipset is not a massive GPU, but yes, it's decent when it comes to light gaming. There is 1 TB of storage space on this laptop, which is ample given it's an enterprise machine. Even though there are 2 touch capacitive displays on this laptop, we relied majorly on the backlit keyboard on offer. Since this is not a full-size keyboard, it will take some time adjusting to it. There is a new IR-enabled camera which, combined with the debuting AI noise cancelling technology, makes break-free conversing easier. Talking about the battery optimization on the Zenbook 14, Asus has done a commendable job. In our week-long testing of the Zenbook 14, we plugged in the laptop just twice. Wrapping up this review, we feel that Asus Zen Book 14 is a step in the right direction when it comes to innovation in personal computing. It's lightweight, looks good and performs phenomenally well. Starting at Rs 99,900, it sure is an expensive laptop, but you do get a substantial amount of computing power, which makes it a worthy investment.
That then is the Gadget 360 show for this week. Like I said, this was a great show to bring to you because great products were with us. And in the same way, lots of great products coming up next week. See you on that show.